I must respectfully decline to answer based on the physician-patient privilege and reliance on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
And so it went for several minutes in a closed-door interview with former President Biden's House doctor at the White House, Kevin O'Connor. Did not answer almost every question posed to him. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer calling out the complete lack of cooperation after that meeting concluded investigating Biden's cognitive decline.
I can tell you exactly what happened. Dr. O'Connor pleaded the Fifth Amendment. This is unprecedented, and I think that this adds more fuel to the fire that there was a cover-up.
Okay, Jonathan Turley, Fox News contributor. Sir, good morning to you. Thank you for coming on, Professor. Legally, he can hide behind the Fifth Amendment. Let's talk about the legality of what his answers were first. Go.
Well, you have to keep on repeating that line because you can't get into any answers without undermining your invocation. The question is really what Congress will do about it. They can actually force his testimony by giving him a grant of immunity. Now, the key about the patient privilege is that that is often negated in a case of what's called the crime fraud exception. In fact, even laws like HIPAA have exceptions for subpoenas and criminal investigations. What the Oversight Committee is saying is we're looking into possible crimes here. You know, these are very serious allegations that even legislation was signed without the knowledge and consent of the president. That can be a crime. There's also questions whether perjury might have been committed. So Congress is in a good position here, but it's likely that O'Connor and maybe even President Biden could go to court to try to prevent even his being compelled to testify.
Okay, didn't the White House the other day say we'll give you all the immunity you want? Isn't that basically what their message was?
Yeah, and I expect that Congress would likely do it as well. They're not trying to bag O'Connor. They're trying to get at the truth here. To keep in mind, Bill, that the 25th Amendment was designed to deal with a president who's no longer capable of carrying out the duties of his office. But it's a bit of a paper tiger. It doesn't work unless you've got the cooperation of figures like the vice president and others. The only other protection we have is congressional oversight, is the ability of Congress to look into these matters. This is long overdue. You know, we had President Wilson, who was effectively out of office when his wife and others were carrying out his functions. He was basically incapable of making any decisions. We really haven't improved much since then.
Wow. Here is, just to go back in the Wayback Machine, not too far back, 2024, here's how a lot of Democrats, when asked about that question, they responded the following way. Watch.
Is President Biden up to the job? Absolutely.
He is as sharp as ever, as I have known him to be in my engagement, in my experience.
He's clearly up to the job. He's doing it every day. He's doing it successfully.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
Okay, that's the way it went then. This is how it went yesterday now, with Chad Pergram asking the question.
Do you have concerns about the president's health and his mental acuity at all? None whatsoever?
I had none. Now, granted, I didn't see Joe Biden every single day, but I did have an opportunity to interact with the president. I never had a concern. If there's anyone that I am concerned about their mental acuity, it is the current occupant.
We addressed the legal side of this. What about the public impression that is left from not answering questions? Comer said all you're doing is adding more fuel to the fire. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's right. I mean, the Democrats have their own problems. You know, the Republicans are citing Representative Goldman, who said previously that invoking the Fifth Amendment is only done when you did something wrong. And they're quoting that all over the place. But the Democrats could have a hard time convincing the public to listen to them and not their lying eyes. That we all saw that debate. That was not someone who was even aware of some of his answers. And so I don't think this is going to to work for them. And this idea that somehow they can sort of talk this one away is really not going to work. There are serious questions here. It's unlikely criminal charges are going to come out of this just because of the nature of this process. It's possible. But what we do need are answers. The problem under the 25th Amendment in our current system is that there's always people invested in keeping a president, even a president who looks like, Weekend with Bernie. It's in their advantage to keep him in office. And oversight's the only way for us to penetrate that protective cocoon.
Okay, what I'm hearing you saying, though, is that this has a real good chance of coming back. Just a quick answer on that. Did I hear that right?
Yeah. That's correct.
Okay. Jonathan Turley, nice to see you, sir. Thank you for your time, Professor, as always.
Thanks, Bill.
You bet. Thanks.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.